The running back class in the 2025 NFL Draft is one of the most loaded position groups in the class, with over 30 different players who I believe have legitimate chances of being drafted. There's a lot of talent on the board, but one player who I believe could be shooting up draft boards after a very strong pre-draft process is Virginia Tech running back Bhayshul Tuten. Tuten is an incredibly athletic and explosive running back prospect, but in a class that is rich with talent, how high could we expect to hear Tuten's name called in the 2025 NFL Draft? That is what we will be discussing in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page, which I will leave linked down in the description below. For just $5 a month, you guys will be able to access my full in-depth draft guide with all of my scouting reports, player stats, combine and pro day numbers, and so much more. It is truly one of the best resources available on the market, and if you enjoy my NFL Draft content, it's an easy way to show your support to the channel. I highly recommend checking it out. Comment down below which prospects you guys would like to see in a future video, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at Bhayshul Tuten. Tuten started his collegiate career at ncaa, but has spent the last 2 seasons with Virginia Tech, and he's been a pretty productive player for the Hokies. In 2023, Tuten had 175 carries for 875 yards and 10 touchdowns on the year. He wasn't really on my radar this summer, but he broke out in a big way in 2024, posting 1,150 yards and 15 touchdowns on 183 carries. After having a pretty dominant combine and Senior Bowl week, the potential for him to be taken in day 2 is really high, I think. Tuten, in my opinion, is the most explosive running back in this draft class, and he proved that at the NFL Draft Combine last month. He has absolutely blazing speed for the position, and you just can't teach that. If a hole opens up, Tuten has the quickness to hit it, with the long speed to break open a long one. Tuten ran a 4.32 at the NFL Draft Combine with a 1.49 10-yard split. He's not just fast, but he's incredibly explosive, and that alone will get Tuten selected relatively high in this draft. Tuten also shows really good agility and contact balance. He is a player that is incredibly slippery and hard to bring down in the open field. Tuten averaged 4.4 yards after contact per attempt, which is truly a phenomenal time. He is constantly moving his legs, and he's really strong in his lower half to pick up extra yards, which I absolutely love and I think will suit him well at the next level. One of the biggest talking points around Tuten is going to be his lack of 3-down impact at the next level. At Virginia Tech these past couple of seasons, they really have not tapped into his potential as a receiver. He only had 81 receiving yards on the season in 2024, but with that said, Tuten showed some really nice route running upside, as well as good hands out of the backfield when he was targeted, and he showed the ability to be a consistent receiving threat at the Senior Bowl. If an NFL team is able to tap into that part of his game, I think he could be a dangerous player down the board. I'm very curious how teams are going to view that at the next level. Tuten is a smaller running back prospect at 5'8", and because of that, I do think he has some struggles in the blocking game. He was just run over by bigger and more physical players, and that's going to need to get better for him. If he's going to be a contributor at the next level, he's going to have to improve his base as a blocker. He allowed pressures on 20.7% of his blocking snaps, and that's just a number I want to see go down for him at the next level. The biggest issue with Tuten by far is his ball security. Tuten has some of the worst fumbling issues I have seen in my short time of studying this, and it feels like it's in every other game. He has 9 credited fumbles over the last 2 years, and he just seems to constantly be putting the football on the ground. This is a player that needs to improve in that regard, because if he can't take control of the football, he's not going to be in the NFL for very long, because I don't care how good your athletic traits are. If you're turning the ball over at that high of a rate, you probably shouldn't be on an NFL roster. Bhayshul Tuten is an incredibly explosive running back with blazing speed good contact balance, but he's really going to need to add some more as a pass catcher and as a blocker, and I just want to see him do a better job of not fumbling the football. I also think he's got to do a better job of running between the tackles. Tuten is a player that loves to bounce runs to the outside, and I do think it hinders his overall vision. With all of that being said, Tuten is my number 12 running back in the draft class. I think he's going to be an impactful speed guy at the next level, but I do question what his 3-down impact is going to look like, especially if he is unable to improve as a receiving back. In terms of a scheme fit, I see Tuten being a nice change of pace back early on in his career. A guy who brings a new speed element to the backfield, but a player who over time can develop into being a running back with more usage. I think right now it's going to be hard to give him a consistent role because of his questions with his receiving, his blocking, and his ball security, but I think in short stints, he could be a really explosive player with the upside to develop into a long-term starter. My player comparison for Tuten is Miami Dolphins running back Jalen Wright. Both of them are incredibly shifty athletes with elite change of direction and explosive speed in the open field. Neither of them were the most productive receiving backs in college, but there was definitely potential there that just wasn't tapped into. I think Tuten is a very similar player. They have similar measurements, they play a similar brand of football, and I think Tuten could have a very similar rookie season to what we saw from Wright, but get an increased usage role in his second year in the league. Bhayshul Tuten has blazing speed. He is one of the most athletic running backs in the class with excellent contact balance and the ability to make guys miss in the open field. I think he can be a very solid back in the league, and ultimately, I believe that Bhayshul Tuten will be an early day 3 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.